Have you ever tried something new and had a false confidence of how you would do? Perhaps you wanted to bake a cake, and so you went online and looked up a cooking blog, and after reading through 42,000 pages of reading about the blogger mom's whole entire life, you found the recipe. You thought, well, that looks pretty easy. You tried it, and it's the worst thing you ever tasted because you screwed up. Maybe you have an unathletic friend who is really into pickleball, and they invited you to come play with them. And you thought, pickleball. That's for geriatrics and losers who can't play real sports like Richard Simmons. And then you tried it and your friend kicked your butt. Uh, I remember years ago being hired for a sales position at a company that a good friend of mine worked at. He also worked on the sales side. Now, this was outbound sales, so lots of cold calling and cold emailing. After being hired, I had about 4 weeks before I actually started the job. So I watched hours of video and read several books and lots of blogs and articles about email marketing, cold call techniques, and just general outbound sales in general. I picked my friend's brain to learn how he did his job and quickly realized that I would quickly overtake him with all my newfound knowledge I had gained in the past 4 weeks. And I thought to myself, why is he working his job the way that he is? It's so obviously inefficient. His email rate open rates are terrible, and it's obvious why the emails are awful. Who would want to read those? Uh, if he had just spent a few days researching like I had, he would be doing so much better. What an idiot! The first month of my new job was spent undergoing company training. After this month was completed, was ready to build my own list of contacts and sell to them. This was what I was looking forward to. After patiently waiting through the training for a month, I was now ready to use the tactics and techniques I had learned and earn substantial commissions, and more importantly, show my friend how it was supposed to be done. I look forward to training him under my set of practices so that he could obtain the level that I would be at. Well, it didn't work that way. After training, it took a whole another month for me to make my first sale. The quota at the time was about 10 sales a month, and after 3 months, I finally started to average that, but only because I gave up trying what I had taught myself and went back to what the company had trained me on, which incidentally is what my friend had been doing the whole time. I was a very average salesman. I hit my quota over half the time, but rarely ever sold more than my friend at the end of the month. This story is an example of the Dunning-Kruger Effect, or at least the first half of it. The Dunning-Kruger Effect explains the phenomena of a person with very little experience having high confidence, and as they gain experience, their confidence wanes or reduces. Once enough experience has been gained to warrant the person becoming an expert, the confidence rises back again. Experience versus inexperience, confidence versus being unconfident, are a core part of the film The Graduate. The Graduate was voted the sixth greatest film of all time by the American Film Association. Hi, my past self is an idiot. The top 100 film list that we're going off of from the American Film Association has The Graduate as the seventh best film of all time, not the sixth. Keep that in mind for the rest of the video. Hello again. My past future self is also an idiot. It's actually the American Film Institute, not Association. Keep that in mind for the rest of the video. And is one of the wildest, most entertaining movies I've ever seen. My wife and I are going through the top 100 movies of all time, and after finishing each movie, we rate it 1 out of 5 stars, and then we combine our ratings to rate the movie out of 10. We gave The Graduate a 10 out of 10, one of the very few top 100 films that we've seen that has been given a 10 by us both. Out of all the top 100 films we've watched, The Graduate has caused the most physical reaction from us, meaning throughout the viewing, we literally sat on the edge of our seats. We facepalmed. We looked at each other with our mouths open. At one point, I had to get up and walk into the kitchen. I couldn't handle the scene I was watching. And these are all good things. So there are two reasons for these reactions. First is the story. The Graduate is a 1967 film directed by Mike Nichols. The story follows Benjamin Braddock, played by Dustin Hoffman, a recent college graduate who is uncertain and unconfident about his future. Upon returning home, from graduating college, he becomes entangled in an affair with Mrs. Robinson, who is played by Anne Bancroft, an older married family friend who is an experienced and very confident cougar. Interestingly, Anne Bancroft is only 6 years older than Dustin Hoffman, but they use lots of makeup, and along with her splendid acting, she appears significantly older. However, complications arise when Benjamin falls in love with Mrs. Bancroft's daughter, or excuse me, Mrs. Robinson's daughter, Elaine, played by Catherine Ross. It's just a ridiculous love triangle. Let me repeat this. Benjamin has an affair with a woman his parents are friends with, and then spurns her for her daughter. I don't know what this guy's thinking, but what an idiot. By the way, this famous poster showcasing Mrs. Robinson's leg that frames Benjamin in the background is not modeled by Anne Bancroft. The leg actually belongs to Linda Gray, who revealed to the Hollywood Reporter that she was paid $25 for that particular photo shoot. Let's back up to Benjamin's initial encounter with Mrs. Robinson. Dustin Hoffman does a brilliant job of portraying inexperience, and awkwardness, and overall lack of confidence. He's an innocent little fawn that is easy prey for the cougar.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me.
Over time spent in the casual relationship with Mrs. Robinson, Benjamin at this point is gaining some experience, some interrelational life experience, and some confidence along with it. At this point, he's starting his journey here on the Dunning-Kruger graph, where he barely has any experience yet is getting too high on confidence, and it just goes downhill from there. So let's go back to why we had big reactions to the movie. The overall plot and story is the first reason. The second reason is how the story is told. The Graduate is an iconic film, in big part because of how it was filmed. Most film classes will focus on this movie to teach students, aspiring directors and videographers, as The Graduate is a masterclass in storytelling, direction, and visual artistry. There are many other YouTube videos by film students and movie buffs who make wonderful videos detailing these points. They will explain that the cinematography under Mike Nichols is superb and meticulous, with each shot and camera movement purposely adding to the narrative. They explain that the use of long takes and close-ups captures Benjamin's sense of entrapment and confusion. They will also explain that the editing and pacing of the film also underscores the film's story, and highly praise the use of symbolism, most commonly point to Anne Bancroft wearing animal prints because she's a cougar, and also the use of water, from Benjamin swimming in a scuba suit to a toy diver in a fish tank, which showcases his lack of confidence in his future, his fear of not adequately meeting societal expectations. Cultural implications are also spoken of, from the importance of using music from Simon and Garfunkel to discussing the differences in how the movie was received in younger audiences versus older audiences. Generally, the younger crowd was drawn by the music by Simon and Garfunkel and cheer on Benjamin antics, while the older crowd can be more likely to be disapproving of Benjamin's character and actions and are not as accepting of the general themes. Side note on the Simon and Garfunkel music, the famous song Mrs. Robinson was initially titled Mrs. Roosevelt. Paul Simon originally wrote the song about Eleanor Roosevelt and Joe DiMaggio, with the lyrics like, "Here's to you, Mrs. Roosevelt." However, when director Mike Nichols asked Simon and Garfunkel to contribute music to the film, he suggested that they change the name to Mrs. Robinson to better go with the movie. The duo later re-recorded the song with additional lyrics to create the hit single version that we now attribute to the movie. Back to how the story was told. For myself, I'll simply say that the way the movie is filmed drew me into the story like few other movies have. It's a big reason why I had such a big physical reaction to the movie. And as ridiculous as the story is by itself, the way it's presented by Mike Nichols just turns it up to 11. Going back to the Dunning-Kruger graph, this isn't an exact representation of Benjamin's journey, but I think it's loosely comparable. In the beginning of the film, Benjamin has no experience and no confidence, and as he spends time with Mrs. Robinson, who is highly experienced and confident, it rubs off on him. He gains a little bit of experience and then too much confidence, and it's interesting to witness Benjamin's increasing experience and growing confidence dovetail with Mrs. Robinson's decreasing position and reducing confidence throughout the film. One of the best qualities of The Graduate is its ending. Again, you can find many YouTube videos that are solely about the movie's ending, about how it's cinematic storytelling at its finest. I watched one video that went as far as to analyze the number of windows in the bus's back door in the final scene. Uh, there's only 2 windows, and the video was about 10 minutes long. It was good, but I mean, a little bit too much in my opinion. Regardless, many of us expect the end of a movie to be tied in a nice little bow by the end. The third act completes with the hero getting their just reward. Or allow me to reference Dunning-Kruger one last time. We expect the storyline to end at the very end, at the height of experience and confidence meeting. Benjamin's journey started off the graph to the left, no experience and no confidence. Once he got a little bit of experience with Mrs. Robinson, he got too confident. For the rest of the movie, I watched him flounder and struggle, fully expecting his experience to culminate at the far right of the graph. However, the final scene reveals that he's about right here, the rock bottom of the graph. He's like me during the second month of my new job, realizing that he has no idea what he's doing. So is the 6th best movie of all time worth a watch? There are several reasons why it is worth watching, but it's not for everyone. As expected in a top 100 film, the acting is phenomenal, particularly by Dustin Hoffman. No surprise there, and Anne Bancroft. As I've explained, the plot is particularly interesting, along with how the story is told through Mike Nichols' top-tier directing. However, if you're not comfortable with watching the messy relational dynamics of a betrayed husband confronting his cheating wife's lover, who is half his age and the son of good friends of his, who also spurned the betrayed man's cheating wife for the daughter, who in turn confronts the cheating mother for betraying the father for the young man that the daughter's interested in, then this movie probably isn't for you. I hope if you haven't seen The Graduate and you can handle what I just described, that I've encouraged you to give it a try. If you have seen it, let me know if you liked it or not, and why. So the last top 100 movie we watched was about masculinity perfected and what the perfect man looks like. The next top 100 movie that my wife and I watch, we completely disagree on. I gave it a 5 out of 5, and she gave it a 1 out of 5. This is the sole movie so far that we've seen that we completely disagree on. By the movie's end, I was left in awe, and I went on eBay and bought the original book just so I could read the book form and see how it differed. I was thinking about the movie's ending for days afterward. When the movie ended, my wife grumbled, I'm glad that's over with, and didn't give it another thought. I'll give you a hint. Apes, Monoliths, and AI gone rogue. If you think you know which movie that is, let me know in the comments below. I'm interested if anyone can guess it. Thank you for watching.
Turn off that racket!
Yeah, fat chance, pups.
Hello, Grandpa, my old friend. Your busy day.